Hi, and welcome to Auditing Accounting 410 Online's orientation. In this presentation, we will give you an overview of the course, review the syllabus, discuss a website called Connect, other software required, a discussion board introduction posting, and emailing your instructor. The course syllabus, which is accessible in your orientation folder in Blackboard, contains information pertinent to the course, as you know. Some of the first key information is my contact information. My name's Lori Dunn. I am an instructor at Misericordia. I have been for about 5 or 6 years now. My full-time position is at Luzerne County Community College, where I'm a professor. I've been a CPA for over 25 years, and I have my master's in taxation. My contact is ldunn at misericordia.edu. However, I prefer email being originated and sent through Blackboard. And my contact phone number 570-740-0317. I plan on having office hours right now utilizing Blackboard Collaborate on Sundays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I may change our meeting area though, dependent on if I could utilize another forum, and I'll let you know that. The required material, which is listed in your syllabus, I've given you a couple different options of purchasing your required material. Probably the least expensive option is purchasing it directly from the Misericordia bookstore. There you will purchase a loose leaf book called Auditing and Assurance Services, A Systematic Approach, the 10th edition, and it will be packaged an access code for a website that we utilize in the course called Connect. The ISBN number is there. That's a unique ISBN number for Misericordia's bookstore, which allows us to offer and sell this book at, I think it's $120. Normally this package runs almost $400. But if you don't want to use the Misericordia bookstore, I give you the ISBNs for the loose leaf book that you could purchase separately, and the Connect code if you want to purchase that separately. And then if you want to go all digital with no paper book at all, you can use option 3, which is the Connect code, and that will have the e-text within it. Now, if you purchase the book at the bookstore, you will also have the e-text. So no matter how you purchase the access code, you will always have the e-text. I think that goes for $140. So your cheapest option right now is buying the paper book, which is loose leaf, with the Connect code directly from Misericordia bookstore. They are aware that they are the least expensive and have promised me that they would order more books so that you are not waiting for a book. If you have any problems, contact me immediately, Lori Dunn. Technology we'll use in this course. Of course we use Blackboard Learn. You're already on it. But we will also use a website called Connect, which we will show you in a separate presentation how to register. You will always access this website via Blackboard. So all links to this website are contained within the Blackboard website. We will also have a separate presentation on installing and downloading onto your personal computer I.D.E.A software, which is required as part of the course. If you are not able to access the software because some Mac users may not be able to, it will be available in the Insulaco lab on campus. You can have PowerPoint if you want to view PowerPoint, of course, and Adobe Reader, which we all know is free. So those are some of the technologies we'll be using. In this slide, we have an image of Blackboard. This is what each chapter's expanded view will look like. Now, right now, if you are in Blackboard and you do not see all of that information underneath chapter 1, you want to go over to the little caret icon over on the right hand side and click it, and it will expand it. And you could always close it down by clicking on that same icon again. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff we do for each chapter. So let's go through it a little bit just to get you familiar with how the course is set up. First of all items that must be completed are either completed within Blackboard or have a link in Blackboard to get to the area you need to complete that assignment. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is read the chapter. You should read it at least twice, and you know from accounting books before. Sometimes accounting can be a hard read. Auditing is a different animal than what you're used to with financial accounting. Financial accounting, we have rules, and then we practice the rules. Auditing is different. You're getting information about auditing, but every client you audit, you will approach your audit differently. So we're providing you tools, not rules. So you want to read through the chapter just to become familiar with the information. Within your chapter, as you're looking through it, you'll see every so often it'll say stop and think. You should pause here and really contemplate the question they're asking you. Then continue your reading. The second time you read the chapter, now's when you're making notes, you may be outlining it and reflecting as you read to thoroughly understand the material. Of course, the second time will take you a little longer than that first time to read it. Generally, the chapters are 25 pages. Some may be more, some may be less. The next thing you should do is listen to the voice lecture if you enjoy doing that. It'll be based on a PowerPoint, and it will be sometimes my voice, sometimes another instructor's voice, who is basically saying the same thing I would have. These are all YouTube video based, so you don't need any special software. And there's a link within the folder. Then you could practice. Practice everything you've read and listened to. You could do this by going to the end of each chapter and completing the review questions and multiple choice questions. Try them on your own, but there is an answer key provided within this folder so that you can clarify anything you may be fuzzy on. Now you're ready to start getting to work with the assignments for the chapter. That will be graded and become part of your final grade. You will either complete a graded discussion board posting, these are for the odd numbered chapters, or a group assignment for the even numbered chapters. And each of these are listed on the assignment listing within the orientation folder with the due dates. So the graded discussion board postings, which start in chapter 1, you will present a clear and thorough explanation of certain cases or problems, and as I said, they're already listed on your assignment listing and within the discussion board area. You must make sure you organize your answer, and it is free from grammar and spelling errors. So it isn't text message language. You aren't talking to your buddy. This is an official business document. This is an accounting course. You are writing in a business setting. You will be graded on how you present yourself in that respect and how you respond to another student's posting. You won't see any other students posting until after you submitted your first posting. When responding to another student's posting, you shouldn't put I agree or I disagree and kind of just leave it at that. You need to provide a clean explanation, a clear explanation as to why you agree or disagree. You could even cite examples and/or sources. The discussion form is graded within 1 week of the due date with feedback from me. Please remember, these account for 20% of your final grade, and you will lose 10 points per day or part of it is late. That's the even number. That's the odd number chapters. On the even number chapters, you will do group assignments, which I've already assigned groups for the first 4 of these. So it'll be chapters 4, 6, 8, and 10. You have no group assignment for chapter 2. You are to complete the item presented, and these are listed on your assignment sheet, in a DOC or TXT file. You'll answer a discussion, case, or problem. There is no length of presentation or word count to follow. However, you shouldn't agree or disagree either. You should present a clear answer to a case. It may end up being a half a page long. It may end up being 4 or 5 pages long. The key here is that you read through, everybody in the group, each member should read through the case, discuss the issues together thoroughly before drafting and completing the presentation. You also must pick a point person to send the document, and only one document per group will be graded for that group. Late submissions, you will lose 10 points per day or part of. Everyone must work in a group. You will not be allowed to work alone. Auditors don't work alone. You have to learn how to work in a group, and this is how we start that practice. One other item as part of the group assignment is each student needs to download and complete a peer evaluation form, and that's within the assignment Dropbox. The completed form is then emailed to me, Lori Dunn, via Blackboard within 1 day of the due date. You could email it before, but it needs to be to me within 1 day of the assignment's due date to be included. And these participation evaluations will be used in determining individual students' final grades for the assignment. So this is where you, as a group member, can assess how well your other members did and worked in that assignment. As I said, the first 4 you'll all work in the same group, and then I'll change the groups for the last 4. These group assignments are another 20% of your final grade. So odd numbers, you'll do a graded discussion board individually, group assignment for the even number chapters. Earthware mini cases. Some chapters have them, some chapters don't. The first few chapters you definitely have one. Earthware is a fictitious company presented within the book that you'll answer questions about, and it's really the questions are going to be answered within Connect, either a drop-down menu or you'll be given a text box to complete your answer. Any text box I will manually grade. You'll see a listing of any chapters that have this required Earthware case, and you'll see the link within the Blackboard chapter folder. In the beginning of chapter 2 is the annual report for Earthware if you need to refer to it. So the cases will be based on the information you learned in the chapter, and you're going to practice in a simulated audit environment. And it's just answering questions basically about auditing, but Earthware's audit. You will have 2 attempts at the chapter assignments, with the second attempt being a revision of the first. So anything you may get wrong that is not manually graded, you could revise and send in again as a second attempt. And that will be the grade that will be used to determine your average for the Earthware mini cases. Again, 10 points per day you'll lose on the chapter assignment. For days it's late, these account for 20% of your final grade. I'm starting to lose my Blackboard, huh? And I will, because there's 6, 7, there's actually 8 items. So I'm going to refer back to the syllabus, and all of this information is within your syllabus. We just want to make sure you could hear it verbally and hear it from my perspective. I.D.E.A assignments. These are in every chapter. And this is actually where you will use an audit software. I.D.E.A is an audit software that they're allowing us to use for educational purposes. The first 4 chapters for the I.D.E.A software are really a tutorial, you getting used to the software. We won't actually start auditing and using the audit software until chapter 5. You will have data links, and there's a separate presentation on how to download the I.D.E.A software and get the tutorial. Now, since there's an assignment for this for every chapter, you should complete the assignment in a Word or text TXT document, and you will upload it to a Dropbox in Blackboard, where I will be grading these usually within a couple days of their due dates. These assignments account for 30% of your final grade. What's very important here is that Mac users, you have special instructions, because this the software does not operate on a Mac platform. We need to get you to a Windows environment, and there's instructions on doing that. If you're not comfortable doing that on your Mac, that's fine. We will have the software available at the Insulaco lab, but you must use the software. The next item is optional extra credit, and I actually offer it before asking you to take a quiz. The optional extra credit is about a 30-minute assignment in Connect. It's called Learn Smart, and you might have used it in other courses, but it's really a series of multiple choice questions on the reading and the information to make sure you've mastered the material. And where you're weak, they'll give you more questions and help you become more strong in that area. Then you can take your quiz for the chapter. It's a 20 question multiple choice quiz. You have 40 minutes to take one attempt. You have 2 attempts per quiz, and the higher of the 2 scores is what will be your final grade for that chapter. You will not get the same quiz on your second attempt. After the first attempt, you'll see which questions you had correct and which were incorrect in your final score. But after the second attempt, you'll get your total feedback. If you got a 100 on the first attempt, you'll have total feedback at that point. Any late quizzes, you lose 10 points per day or part of that they are late. And that's how each chapter is set up. What you need to be aware of before I move any further is that the first 2 chapters are both due September 2nd. Because that's our intro. We want to get into auditing. And then later in the semester, around the midterm of the semester, you have 2 chapters due in 1 week. I think it's chapters 9 and 10. And that is in your syllabus. Let me verify that just to make sure. Yes, chapters 9 and 10 will both be due on October 21st. Other than that, you do 1 chapter a week, and we will get 18 chapters in by the end of the semester. So that's a real detailed overview and discussion of the syllabus using Blackboard. Again, read it twice, listen to the instructor voice, practice those end of chapter questions. Graded discussion boards are for the odd, group assignments for the even. They're both worth 20% of your final grade. Earthware mini cases, 20% of your final grade. I.D.E.A chapter assignments, 30%. Extra credit, you get 1 point per chapter, and at the end of the chapter, at the end of the semester, I'll add up all the points, multiply it by 20%, and that number will be added to your final grade, So if you do all 18 extra credits, that's 18 points times 20%. That's 3.6 added to whatever your final grade is at that point. And then finally, the quiz accounts for 10% of your final grade. Now, how do we figure out your grade? Well, as I said, we weight it. Your graded discussion board are worth 20% of your final grade, group assignments 20%, Earthware mini cases 20%, I.D.E.A assignments 30%, and your quizzes are worth 17%. Or 10%. I don't know where I got 17 from, but 10%. I know where I got it. I was looking up at my time counter. Okay, but what does that mean? I know a lot of us are used to using points. Teachers use points. That's the new thing. I don't use points. I use averages and weights. So what this means is each of these items is a category. And I'll show you in an example in a few seconds how I average and then how I weight by these percentages. So there's no question as to how you figure out your final grade. All of your grades will be in Blackboard. The key here is to remember that what you see in Blackboard as your total grade assumes the whole semester is complete. So in the beginning of the semester, that number is going to be very low because it's basically saying, if I stop doing work after chapter 1, here's what my final grade would be. Of course, you're not going to do that. You're going to continue through. So that will keep going up and up and up. And then the letter grades, translated from numbers to letters. So here's an example. Remember, I have different categories. So one category is a quiz. Let's say you took your first 3 quizzes and you want to know what your grade's at right now. Okay, so you took quiz 1, 2, and 3, and there's your grades. 60, 100, and a 75. You've completed 3 quizzes so far. Determine the average of those 3 quizzes. So add those up, 235 divided by the number of quizzes, 3, you have a 78.33. That's what I do for each of those categories. So if it's a graded discussion board, I base them all on 100%, add up each individual discussion board posting's grade, and divide by the number of discussion boards. Same with group assignments. Same with I.D.E.A. Same with earthware mini cases. Now, let's see, I did do that for each of the major categories, and this is what ends up happening. The quizzes come out to be 78.33. They're worth 10% of your grade. So I multiply that by 10%, I get 7.833. Your graded discussion boards, that average comes out to 85%. I multiply that by 20%, I get 17. The I.D.E.A assignments, I add up all the assignments grades you've done, divided by the number of I.D.E.A assignments, I get a 90 average. Multiply that by 30% of the final grade. Earthware, let's say I came up with an 81.3 average on the cases you had done so far. 20% of that would be 16.26, and the same with the group assignments. I would then add up all those results. All of those equal 86.533. If this was the end of the semester, your final grade would be a B. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, please let me know, but that is how your grade is calculated. Okay, so what else do we have on our syllabus? It's fun stuff, right? Of course, you can read through the course goals and accounting program goals, something we're required to have within the syllabus, and you could read those on your own. But please be aware of the academic integrity policy. I follow it very strictly, and if I feel there's any kind of academic integrity issue, I will call you out on it, and we will follow the policy listed in the syllabus. Contacting me. I ask that you contact me via Blackboard email. Please don't email me directly from your Misericordia email address. I have other courses. I want to know who's emailing me, what class you're in. And please be very thorough in your email. Sometimes people email me because they're just frustrated. How did they get that balance sheet number? I don't know. You know, what balance sheet number? What problem are you working on? What question? What page? Give me some reference there. My email policy is that I will answer emails within 24 hours of them being sent. Your responsibility is to check email daily. You will not be allowed any kind of special circumstance because you didn't check your email. I expect you to check it every single day. Tutorial assistance is available on campus, and that information is within your syllabus, as well as a disability statement and who you contact with any issues with regards to that. The last day to drop this course, not that you're going to though, but we want to let you know, is November 5th on a Monday. And of course, this outline is subject to change. Within the outline also, you'll see the instructional equivalencies for the course to show that you are doing work that meets the criteria of an online class. So that's our syllabus. Now let's talk a little bit very quickly about Connect. Connect is a website provided by your publisher. You have an access code for it. I have a separate presentation on how to register and gain access into that, so you want to make sure you watch that. What will you be completing in Connect? You'll be completing your earthware mini cases, your quizzes, and your extra credit. The I.D.E.A folder is also within the orientation area. Here you're going to have complete instructions on how to download the software. There's going to be a link there to the software for you to download it, a tutorial file which you'll be using in chapters 1 through 4's assignments. There's Roger's data file, which you'll be using in chapters 5 through the end of the semester within the I.D.E.A software. And I also have a separate presentation on using and completing all those steps. So please check that out. That is within the I.D.E.A folder. The last two things I need you to do to wrap up the orientation is to introduce yourself to the class on the discussion board following the guidelines I have listed: who you are, what your major is, where you're from, if you're working, what kind of work you do, and something funny about yourself nobody really knows or is interesting. And then email me. Email me with stating that you've completed all the orientation, you have completed the registration on Connect, you've downloaded the I.D.E.A software, you've had all questions answered, and you're basically ready to rock and roll for the course. The specific requirements are within that email link in the orientation folder. Okay, and so once you do that, now you're ready to go. So when you're all finished with your orientation and you sent me the email, it's time to get to work and get right into chapter 1. As I said, everything you need is right in front of you in the course information area in Blackboard. You'll see off to the left, there's some menu items there for my grades, discussion boards if you want to go into them separately, emailing. Um, I think that's about it. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going off my memory. Um, and now you know how all the chapters are arranged. Please, and probably the last thing I want to make sure you understand, I am here as a resource. You need to communicate with me, whether it's questions about the material, whether it's problems you're having, whether it's you're sick, you're going to need some time off. You need to communicate. That's the one thing I always try to stress to students, and sometimes students take it for granted. They think that if they tell me after the fact, I'll make it better, but I can't. If you communicate with me early, I can work through issues or problems you may be having, and we can make this a successful semester. So please don't hesitate to contact me. Utilize those office hours if you need them. Don't be afraid to come out and talk with me. I'm a normal person and I don't try to belittle anybody or make you feel uncomfortable in the least bit. Okay, so I guess I'll wrap up now, and I will welcome you to Accounting 410 Auditing, and I wish you a successful semester.